Right, we're now the playlist has switched to 2006 because that's the year we're looking at, basically. I thought that would be quite interesting. Right. What I want to do first of all, I've just remembered what the round one was. It was Silverstone. Always seemed to go well at Silverstone. So first of all, we're just going to look at what was the pass for the lead. Right. So we were chasing Mr. Greenwood here. I might just skip to the exact right point, which is luck. But I'm going to turn down the sound again because it can get quite. If I've gone to the exact right point, it's going to be nuts. Right. So we're chasing James Greenwood ahead. We've been following him for a few laps. So you see how hard it is to stay close. So I'm in the Ferrari and they're in the BRM. So you can get a little bit of runoff too, but you need to really have a good runoff too to be able to pass into three. You can't just dive up the inside. Can't pass turn 4. Or turn 5. You've got to get a really good exit out of 6 because it leads you down the back straight. I never seem to. So you need to be right under the rear exhaust pipe to have a hope to pass into this turn here. And even then it's quite sketchy because you're actually passing over a crest. And you have to follow through these 2 turns here. You can see how close I can get here. So here's when I was like, right, I'm giving it a go. So it's like a half chance, look. If we look at the outside, they're actually very kind to me. Especially if we look at it on board, you can see that I'm not anywhere close to the mirrors. So what James has probably seen is come out of here and he's seen that I've actually disappeared from the mirror. So now you can assume that maybe I'm now in the rear quarter of the car. So we're probably rear wheel facing front wheel. So it's like if he turns in, then, you know, I'm basically in the blind spot here. So he tries to keep it wide open on the outside line. Which you can do. But there's a possibility of running wide and losing all your momentum. So I'm still not in the mirror. But he does well to stay wide. Now, he's still got the corner coming up, left-hander. But I've now moved ahead. So he's got to slow dramatically. Otherwise he's going to go over this crest. And he's going to understeer wide into me. Because turn 3 is like a double apex. So if we look at it now from my car. So if we look back. So you see how far away the cars were? We weren't even close. So I was trying to keep it as tight as possible to stay away from the car on the outside. Because I didn't really know how much space I had. And you don't have like situational awareness back then. You know, there was no radars, there was nothing like that, but netcode would sometimes get involved. So and by this point, I'm like, well, he's in my blind spot. I can't see him, so I've got to then be very careful in how I negotiate here, because I can't take the apex here because I think that he's still there. I can't guarantee that he's disappeared. So I've then got to kind of go wide from the racing line here, and wide as I dare. But look how far my rear wheel is from the dirt. If I had hit that dirt, the car would have just gone round. But in effect, I wasn't that close. So do I kind of get confirmation that I'm far enough in front? So I've come through here. I think I probably kind of said, well, if he's jabbing up the inside there, I can't really do anything about it. Because I've got to take the apex for the second part. I don't think I don't think you can kind of keep running wide, otherwise I just would have ended up in the wilderness there. So I had to kind of trust that he had backed out, maybe. But if we look at it from his point of view, I mean, in the scheme of things, I didn't really need to worry. I'd had so much momentum coming out of turn one that I think he was maybe... Oh, he hit the curb as well, maybe. I mean, we are miles away from each other, but I couldn't really judge where he was because he was in my blind spot. But it looked closer than it was, and when we were watching it on the external camera, I think it was the external camera we were watching it on, I was like, this was bloody epic. And at the time, it wasn't a pass for the lead, I don't think. I think it was a pass for second place. But I had to go for it. This is lap 33 of 36. But we're so far away from each other. But I mean, after that, I just pulled away. But from some of the earlier races, I'd said to myself, I'm just like, well, even though I'm 2 seconds a lap faster than someone, it doesn't mean I'm going to get past. This track is so dependent on what line you use that someone could always be on a particular line, and you're just not going to get by. And I mean, kind of all credit to someone that chooses that line and is able to keep a faster car behind. It's not the fastest way around the circuit. But you're basically able to put your car in such a place that the car behind just cannot find a way by. So that was the boss for the lead. So Silverstone was round one. So I got a 4th place there. I got an 8th place at Nordschleife. And I got a 1st place at Mosport. So obviously the rules for season 12 are that it's a 50-minute race-ish. And you do have to do 2 pit stops. And the pit stops are dependent on what car you're running. So if you're running a really fast car, you need to do quite a lengthy pit stop, which is just you stopping in your pit box basically. And the slower cars, or so-called slower cars, get to either not pit at all, maybe do a stop and go, or do a very small pit stop. So you've got to overhaul those if you're in a faster car. But some people can go faster in slower cars, which is why the BOP system is sometimes a little bit flawed. But, yeah. So we now head to Monza. And Monza's always been a crapshoot for me. I think there's only been once in all of the seasons that we've been watching when I've actually come out of turn 1 unscathed. I've normally got caught up in the melee. So I'm not sure what these remaining races are going to contain. I don't know what happens in these races. Only kind of vague recollections of once the race is actually running, then I can kind of gauge that, I remember this happened, so and so. There isn't what seems to be an extra rule that happened in season 12 is that UKGPL did run a Masters division right at the top, which was basically for the aliens, the people that were just so far ahead of everybody else. And then you had Division 1, which is what I'm in at the moment, and then you had Division 2, and I think there was a Clubman's League just below that. They used to run 5 divisions, but they obviously, by 2006, there was other sims that had come out and taken people's attention away from Grand Prix Legends. So yeah, that's where we stand. So there was a facility where people from the Masters division can come down into Division 1 and do some races. But what I'm noticing is that there's some drivers that don't appear in the results. So I'm assuming that some people that came down from the Masters division don't score championship points, even though they're on the track and affecting the result, you know. But in the end, they don't actually score any points, I don't think. So, but we'll see. Right, so Monza. Let's see if I get caught up in the turn 1 melee. Shall we? Right, so let's see. Right, I'm far back as usual. I don't seem to be able to qualify very good at Monza. So for the first time this season, we're seeing a few different cars that we haven't seen for quite a while. It was only last race that we got to see a Lotus. So because of Grand Prix Legends, we don't see too many cars ahead in the replay. So this is probably going to be like 6th place or something. Thankfully, it's like a 2-car grid rather than a 3-car grid, which normally causes a lot of problems. So, as far as I'm aware, we're maybe going to say this is 5th, 6th, something like that. So Paul McCluskey is in a Ferrari. We have S. Strudwick in a Honda. We normally stay very clear of S. Strudwick because they are very quick, but they can be very sporadic. Let's just say that. We've got RMJ in Brabham. So both the Honda and the Brabham have a shorter pit stop than I do. Then we've got Kevin Clark in the Ferrari. We've then got me in a Ferrari, and then we've got C. Nivone, whoever that is, in a Lotus. And then I've got Clive Loynes in a Brabham behind me, and that's it. So, am I going to get caught up in the T1 melee this time? Let's see. Got 33 laps of Monza. Got a good start for once. So we're leaving the grid in 12th. So we're going to pass this BRM on the left. Oh, we're going to have to check up a little. Oh, there's a couple of people running around the... We're passing another Ferrari there. So do we feel comfortable passing around the outside here? We do not. So it looks like I made up a couple of positions. But we definitely have to pass this Brabham ahead if we've got any chance of beating them through the pit stops. Right, so that's... So those two Ferraris are drafting quite well. So who's in that Brabham? So Jay Pollock, whoever Jay Pollock is, we haven't seen them so far. Tight exit the parabolic in the first lap. I mean, we might be able to get in the draft of the Brabham and pass them into turn 1, but we've got a little bit of a horsepower advantage. We're going to have a go. And then it's a sea of red ahead. So we're going to overhaul this Brabham here. And hopefully those two Ferraris don't cause problems. So we're chasing Paul McCluskey and Ralph Mafe in the Ferraris. So it looks like we went a little bit defensive there, because that Brabham's not really going to leave us alone. We're now up to 7th place. This Brabham is all over my rear. Far too close for my liking, to be honest. Got no option but to stay on the defensive line here, hoping that that guy in the BRM doesn't try and make it go 3 wide. Tight lines to parabolic again. As long as I get a good exit here, I should be alright. Although the draft is quite strong, so the Brabham might be able to draft me. But with all these defensive lines, I'm losing a bit of momentum to the two Ferraris in front. The BRM overtakes the Brabham, which is good for me. Now in 6th place. So we're going to go and attack Paul McCluskey. Now Paul McCluskey last round, he was actually leading the race, but he pulled off the track and retired the car, so I don't know whether he had a technical problem or the phone rang or something, I don't know. So in this pack here, I've got 5th ahead of me and 4th ahead of him. Or 3rd, 2nd. So we can see up to 2nd place. So I'm able to pass Paul McCluskey up the inside. That's 5th place. So the fastest lap of the race is a 1:29.0 at the moment. Yeah, I'm assuming it's by from a Lotus, because it's from Neil Stratton, who usually runs a Lotus. So we're going to go slightly shallow into turn 1, which loses a little bit of momentum. Going to be slightly vulnerable into turn 2. But thankfully I'm able to take the racing line. So you can see the entire top 5 in front now. So Paul McCluskey is not letting me go here. He is right up my rear. I'm really kind of a bit scared of lag here. So I'm remaining on the right hand side. I'm braking into the last turn here. He's going to need to go right the way around the outside if he wants to pass me. Oh, a slight bit of oversteer, so I'm going to be vulnerable down the straight now. Do I stay left or do I stay right? I think I'm staying right. So he was able to get across me. He was able to get across me. Unfortunately, I skipped the replay here. So I think that's a bit too far now. Gets the next lap. So there may have been some lag involved here. I'll have to look at it from my point of view. So he's able to draft up on me. He's got a lot of momentum going around the outside. Now if we look at this on board as well. So he's on the left. So he's able to brake. Now I've got completely nowhere to go. So he comes across me, but his rear wheels have broken away, and he's basically broadside across the track. So I can't go anywhere. And it's a pity that after that. I mean, I thought I got away with it, but then his car comes back across the track and hits me again. So that's 5th place gone. No, I'm able to stay in 5th place. So I don't think I was at fault there. I think that was just an unfortunate racing incident. I don't know if I'm going to get penalised. But I've had disagreements with the stewards in all these seasons. There's been many a time where I've kind of been a bit miffed at the decisions they've made. So I don't. This could go either way. That could just be classed as a racing incident. Or it could be classed as my fault for being in the way. I don't know. But that was just a pity. I mean, I had no reason to back out because I was up the inside of turn 1. So and you normally take a stop and go if you feel like you're at fault in an incident. I obviously felt that I wasn't, so I didn't take a stop and go. So we're now down to 6th place. So I don't really know whether I've got a damaged car either. So we're now on lap 6 of 33. So that incident only took 6 seconds off our lap time. So we didn't lose a lot of time, but it dropped us from the pack, which it means that we've got no drafting partners. So we are still on the chase. So that's J Pollock ahead. That's the BRM that we'd passed earlier. So they were able to avoid all of those spinning cars, one of which was me. So it looks like it's going to be a very lonely race for. So I'm 6th, that's 5th. We can see 4th and 3rd ahead of that. Again, looking the right front. So fastest lap time in the race is now a 1:28.6, which I believe is someone doing a Lotus. Cheaters. He's a cheater. I've just done a very, very low 1:30.0. I can do, from what I remember, I can do a 1:29. I'm getting a lot of understeer in turn 1. But I have to hook it up to get a 1:29. I don't know whether they've ever done it without draft. But. So the Brabham that's following me is RMJ. RMJ was having a good run at Mossport last time out, but I was able to pass them through the pit stop phase. I think they did have some problems, which meant I could stay ahead of them. But their pit stop is probably going to be 10 seconds, maybe more, less than mine, so if I do end up kind of putting a little bit of gap, I've still got to go past them again later on the race. So I've normally chopped the race into 3. So I would imagine that I'm going to stop on lap 11 and lap 22. So you see that I haven't really got enough rear slip in turn 1. So you need a kind of the back end to at least give it away a little. It looks like I've got none. So I believe that Brabham is catching. I don't think he's getting a distant tow. He's just got more pace than I have. I don't know whether the crash can actually give you engine damage, so you slow down a bit. I'm not too sure. But it was a bit of a hefty whack, so I would be very surprised if this engine lasts the entire race. So let's see who we got up front. So I'm in 6th place. We've got J Pollock or I Pollock. I don't know which in a BRM. We've then got G Pora, whoever that is. Never heard of him. We've got Ralph Mafe in the Ferrari in 3rd. And then we got Rick Bryant in the Ferrari in 2nd, which is kind of rare. We don't normally have Rick Bryant in a Ferrari. He's normally in a Brabham or a Cooper. So I'm still in the mid-30s. In all of that, I think Brabham must have had a bit of an off there because he's not in my mirror anymore. Coming in for my first pit stop on lap 9. I have no need to rev my engine, and I've continued to do it throughout every season. It's just giving me engine wear. So the pit stop's probably going to be maybe 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Now, it looks like I may have come out of the pits in 8th place. We've got Kevin Clark ahead and Livingston behind. So there must be an accident further back because the field is very spread out. So lap time went to a 1:54, so we basically lost 24 seconds in our pit stop. It didn't seem like we were standing there for very long, but it was a bit deceiving. But Monza races are always quite boring, just because once you lose the pack, that's it. So I don't know whether everyone's scoring points that's ahead of me, so the result might change when we look at it. But I'm hoping that they are not going to give me penalty points for the incident that happened on turn 1. And I mean, back then, I would have possibly, held my corner a bit. I would have been like, I would probably given moderators, the portion of the replay. Because lag can be involved. Whatever the server replay sees and whatever I see can be a bit different. But I have been known to get a little bit salty for things that happened. Now it's 19 years ago. 2006, did I get it right? Yeah, 19 years ago. I mean, I have no way of changing what happened, but it brings it all back. But I had kind of a sense of foreboding for what was going to happen in the 12th season, because this is my last season, and I've always felt from thinking back that I left the league not feeling very, I don't know, I felt that I had like I'd had enough, and I moved on to doing other things. But and I mean, I can't really tell from just looking at the replays now what kind of emotions and what I was talking with other drivers and moderators behind the scenes. So from just looking at replays, it's very hard to tell, isn't it? Because I was sure that I had like a few comings together with a certain driver, and our racing friendship deteriorated a bit from just the way we kept seeming to have accidents, but I haven't actually seen that. So it's amazing how, looking at these replays now. But I mean, there was season 11 where I had didn't have a significant number of replays. But then again, I didn't actually complete in those races either. So this was kind of around the time when Saturdays and Sundays were taken up with a lot of sim racing, and I suppose it would depend whether there were things were clashing or not. So through 2004 to 2007, I did do a NASCAR league. So it did depend whether some of the events would clash. And I have actually looked at got some of the replays running from that. I don't think they'd be very good to watch because it's just going around in circles basically. But I managed to actually look back on the Wayback Machine, the website that had the news and stuff on it, and I actually found my old profile, which is kind of cool. And it still has some of the results active, which is very, very cool. So I'm still in 8th place. I mean, if I can stay in the top 10, it would be a bloody miracle. But I'm not doing very well on my braking into the last corner. That seems to be my failing. Seems to be a graphical glitch with some 3D stuff there. So yeah. Now, if you think about it, in 2006, what was around? So NASCAR 2003 had been out for 3 years. I think it was possibly a couple of years back, or maybe even a year back. It had stopped being worked on, so development had stopped because the people that were making NASCAR 2003 moved and started making iRacing. So the sim racing scene became very, very busy at this point. So NASCAR 2003 had the Grand National Series and the trucks added to it, and development had basically stopped. 2005 R Factor release. You then had I think a year after that, so 2006, 7, possibly Race 07 was kind of on the horizon. I don't know when in terms of GTR Evolution that was. I don't know what came first. So there was never really one game around this period. It suddenly got splintered into so many different things. And of course there were leagues for a lot of it. So is that an eagle ahead of me? Right, that's a Brabham. So he's just done his pit stop and come out in front of me. So there was a lot of games that I was playing, because I think jump on board with iRacing in 2006. Did a few runs with that. I don't think I sticked with it for very long. I dipped in and out ever so often. And I think I dipped back in during the pandemic. But I've not really liked the style of racing, so I didn't keep with it. Plus it's expensive, so... So I think there was just far too much stuff to kind of keep your eyes on back then. Can't drive everything. Good afternoon, Benjamin. We are watching Monza. So this is the 4th round of season 12. We started, I think, in 12th. We avoided some of the comings together in turn in the first lap. It was actually quite a clean first lap. We're on lap 16 of 33. I've already done my pit stop. I was in 5th place. Unfortunately, I had a coming together with Paul McCluskey. Paul McCluskey seemed to try to overtake around the outside in turn 1, but went sideways and basically blocked the whole road. So I couldn't avoid him, and that spun me round, but I managed to get going again and only dropped 1 place. I didn't do a stop and go or anything, because I'm guessing I didn't think that was my fault, and I still don't think it's my fault. But I've done my first pit stop on lap 9. Quite early for a pit stop. But since that accident, I basically lost my draft, and I've basically been out on my own. So there's 33 laps in total. I've basically been doing the mid 130s, low 130s. But I'm now in P7. So if I can stay in the top 10, it's going to be an absolute miracle. But again, I don't know how many people are dropping scores. But I've just been explaining about, you know, how saturated the sim racing market got around this time. So 2006, everything started to happen. Everything. So R Factor, GTR was the thing around that time. And I mean, my attention was kind of directed a lot of ways. I would have been doing this league, and then I would have moved to what was the UKGTR league and the UKGTL league in this time. And of course, everything can't run on a Sunday. You can't do everything. But I suppose there's one saving grace. The NASCAR, if I wanted to do NASCAR stuff, which I did from 2004 to 2007, the NASCAR stuff took place on a Sunday morning. So I could do a Sunday morning and still leave the league racing in the evening. So there is that. So I don't know if I'm catching this guy ahead. The name doesn't ring a bell. So I'm wondering if this is another Masters driver that's coming down to slum it in Division 1. If it is, they're not really going that fast, but... I'm doing badly with all these wheel lockings. I mean, it's... Thankfully, Grand Prix Legends didn't have flat spots, otherwise my tyres would be 50 pence pieces at the moment. Not doing very good with brake feel, I guess. So I'm guessing Indy cars are going to be tonight. I think qualifying starts at 8 o'clock. I think. So I was hoping to get 3 races looked at before that race starts. I may just be able to do it, I think. But we looked at the my pass for what was the lead at Mosport. I looked at it from the external cameras and it wasn't as close as I thought it was. It just looked close from the cockpit because obviously once we were around turn 1, we were both in each other's blind spot. And then going into turn 2, we were in each other's blind spot again. So it took a lot of wondering how it would have been in real time, you know. Looks like I'm back up to 5th place. So a couple more people in the Ferraris have possibly done their pit stops. Or someone must have had an accident because I wasn't in 5th before. I shouldn't really have dropped down. And unless that's possibly a Lotus that's done their 35 seconds pit stop or whatever it was. So we're following a Brabham at the moment. G-Pora, whoever that is. We're also getting followed by RMJ, who we were followed by before in the pit stops. Kevin Clark is now behind him. Again, I don't know if they have pitted or haven't pitted, but a bit of a lonely Monza race. I was able to do a 1:29.8 on one of my laps, so I'm guessing I must have hooked it up somehow. But I could never quite do it consistently. It's locking tyres all over the place. I was also explaining how I don't know how. I mean, when you kind of look at this from, basically looking at it from third person in a way, you're kind of a bit, because obviously there's been like 19 years in between what I'm looking at. I don't know what went on behind the scenes. I'm looking at this kind of from an observer's point of view. I can only guess how I might have felt after some of these races, if I would have been a bit miffed or with some of the decisions, or. And I was just some of the races where I thought there was like I had like a racing adversary, if you will. There've been a couple of occasions where I'd collided with the same person quite often. We always seem to be drawn together, and I'm wondering whether that happens in season 12 or whether that's happened in previous seasons. But now looking at it, maybe it's not. It doesn't look such a big deal, but so it's very weird coming back and look at this from fresh eyes. It's so I'm now in 4th place. So we're lap 21 of 33. So it should be around about the time for a pit stop now. And I believe the pit stop is around 20 seconds, I think. I'm braking so late for Parabolica. Not time for a pit stop yet. Gotta be close though. I'm looking at this car and I don't know whether there is any particular damage or anything. I'm seeing it looks very, very understeery. Extremely understeery. It doesn't look like it's got much rear slip at all. I'm still able to do low 130s with it. Just seems to be a little bit of a stalemate at the moment. Don't seem to be getting closer to the Brabham in front, or... I mean, that Brabham is going to gain on me through the pit stop phase. In we come. Okay. I suppose it's interesting to think that this is my last ever league race in Monza with this league. Right, so I've come out. It says 8th place on the counter. That's Kevin Clark behind me. So he must have pitted the same lap I did. Because he was behind me. So in front of me is now A. Livingston. So I've been passed by at least one person I knew about. Those bloody Coopers. So I was at most up to 4th place. I don't think I can get back to 4th place. That's going to be very, very difficult. So the Cooper ahead is doing 1:31, so I'm gaining 1 second on him per lap. So that's my last pit stop. We've got 10 laps to close on that Cooper. I think that's probably about 5 seconds. So I'm probably going to get up to the back of it. I don't think I'm going to pass it. And again, I don't know how many people are not scoring this round as well. So 8th place might not be 8th place at the end. We can maybe assume that there are 2 drivers that aren't scoring, so maybe it might be 6th. Don't know, but there's definitely a couple of names I do not recognise. Didn't see them in the standings for rounds 1, 2 and 3, so I mean, I'm not going to catch this Cooper driver if I'm doing 1:31s, am I? I'll be doing faster lap times than that. So a 4th place, an 8th place, a win, and this might be another, could be a top 5. When the pit stops have shaked out, I'm not sure. And it was kind of a pity, the accident, because it spread out the lower half of the top 10. Because we had, for once, I think I had the leader, 2nd place, 3rd place, 4th place, all in view. And it basically split up all those drivers and made the rest of the race a bit of a lonely affair. Let's put my fastest lap in for the race, 1:29.6. So we may catch this Cooper if I don't crash. Have I just jinxed it? For 19 years ago. Have I just jinxed it? I'm definitely catching, because it's less than... Oh dear. What's happened here? Someone's had a bit of a... That's an eagle! Yikes! Let's have a look. I wonder if I kept my foot in there. Christ! So we got... I think that... Is that a Cooper that's just gone wide and clipped the... Yeah, he's clipped the end of the Armco there. So I had to stay... Wide! He was coming back across the track. I stayed as left as possible and hoped to get out of it. Jesus. So was that 2 for position? It might be 2 for position. But blimey. Oh, dearie me. That was scary. That was S. Drake, and I think that was the Cooper that was in front. That might be A. Livingston. So we're now up to 6th place. So Rick Bryant in the Ferrari to catch. So they're going through Lesmo 1. I'm just coming into Lesmo 1. So unless I'm faster in lap time, I've got no hope. So they did a 141. So I'm wondering whether they had to do a stop and go. Because you normally do a 154 lap time. Although I suppose it depends where your pit stall is. So I don't think I'm going to catch another Ferrari in this last few laps. But I can definitely see him. So just coming up lap 26 of 33. I suppose another thing as well, I'll have to maybe look back at my gig tickets as well. On some Sundays I would have been going to concerts and stuff. So sim racing kind of, you know, I having to balance between sim racing and a social life and stuff like that, so. And I suppose at this point as well, as I said it before, I was made redundant at the end of 2005, and this season started at the start of 2006. So I'm an unemployed person that's having a little bit of a midlife crisis. No. How close to the dirt do you want to get? How close to the dirt do you want to get? I think that still says 6th place. So lap 28 of 33. We've got 5 laps to go. I mean, that Ferrari of Kevin Clark is not going to catch us unless something dramatic happens, but don't chuck away what could be a top 5 finish. But we'll have to see what the moderator Phil Thornton thinks about the racing incident I had with Paul McCluskey. Now, I think quite rightly, I would probably feel a bit miffed if he ends up blaming me for it, because it was an incident where I could not avoid it. Even if I had slammed on the brakes, I probably still couldn't have avoided it. Oh no! That looked like a Shift R, didn't it? Did he blow his engine? I think Rick Bryant blew his engine. So we now up to P5 on the road. Just at another 129. But that Ferrari is getting uncomfortably close. I guess Kevin behind is doing the fastest laps he's ever done in the race to catch up. At lap 30 of 33. This is going to be a grandstand finish to what has been a very sedate Monza Grand Prix. Is there still a sting in the tail? He is very close now. He must be putting in 129s every lap. Uh-oh. A bit of oversteer. I'm now vulnerable on the straight. I might have to say goodbye to my top 5. Right, I'm in exactly the same position I was with Paul McCluskey, so I held the inside all the way down to turn 1. Kevin doesn't feel like he's close enough. It's the battle of the red things. Lap 31 of 33. Not going defensive just yet. Walking up into Lesmo 1. Still able to make the apex. Slight oversteer coming out of the Lesmo 2 though. Von down the back straight. So close. Do I let him go? No, I do not. Going defensive down into the Parabolica. Last of the late breakers. Thankfully I was able to make the apex. Running a bit wide, but not. Who gets the traction out of the last turn? Again, I think I have to go defensive. Is Kevin able to pull alongside? He is not. That looked very close. I'm sure foreshortening came into it. But you see how I'm scrubbing the front all the way turn 1. He's got the inside for turn 2 though. This is the penultimate lap. Doesn't feel comfortable out braking. Did I outbrake myself? I did! But I'm going to hold it through Lesmo 2. Oh, this is good. I mean, I thought the battle for at Mossport was good. This is epic. Absolutely epic. Again, how much are we going to lock up coming into the last turn? Again, we're having trouble slowing down. But we still make the apex. Park it on the apex. Try and get the best traction we can out of the last turn. Final lap. I mean, if it's like that for the final lap, I've got them over the line, but... There's too much understeer, look. This cannot turn. Oh, no! That's a shame. That is a real shame. That is a real shame. You could see, look, the black line I'm leaving. And it looks like I hit the dirt here. So it hits the dirt. So then I'm trying to get off the dirt. So I think what it does is when you're kind of on the dirt, it suddenly releases you, and then you get a little bit of a tank slapper on, which then kind of, you see that I've got a tank slapper on here because I've controlled it come off the grass, and then it tank slappers back to the other side, and there's a bit of net code in there, look, because we don't really collide. Boof. Round we go. Oh, it's a pity I hit the grass again then. That would have been a good recovery. Right, what do I do? Do I let him have it? Or does he let me have it? Ooh. I suppose maybe he should have had it, really. Now, am I going to feel the need to do a stop and go? But looking at the car behind, I don't know. Flags are already raiding. The leaders have already gone across that line. We're just going to finish line at Stern. Interesting. I think that's a bit half and half, isn't it? That's a little bit half and half. Bit of a shame. I think he would have maybe got through, but I was pushing so hard into turn one. And I just... hit the dirt, and I couldn't get off the dirt. Because you're steering so much to get off the dirt, and then suddenly the dirt releases you, and then you're kind of back on the tarmac again. You've got to kind of, steer to keep the thing pointing in a straight line. It's just unfortunate that Kevin happened to be as close as he was. I don't know. Have I just lost my top 5 from those incidents? We're gonna have to see how the moderator saw it. Okay. So we done Nordschleife. We did Mossport. Yeah, I won. Okay. So Ian Bias Pollock comes away with a win. BRM wins the race from 7th place. Lorenzo Galuzzi gets 2nd in the Brabham. Ralph Mafe gets 3rd in the Ferrari. RMG keeps his 4th place. Kevin Clark does stay ahead of me in 5th, and I get 6th. There were no Masters drivers in there, I don't think. But Rick Bryant does get a 2-place penalty there for something. So it looks like the moderator may have actually said these were two racing incidents, perhaps. Just trying to see whether I actually come up in the. So that accident that we got caught up in caused accidents for so many other people. So Paul gets a good drive out of the parabolica and slipstreams Neil down the straight. Neil holds the right line and forces Paul to go the long way round. Paul duly obliges and makes a clean pass, but the back end steps out as he enters Curva Grande. He corrects the slide and starts to regain control, but he is slowed down considerably, and despite Neil's valiant efforts to avoid contact is made, both cars are sent into a spin, and unfortunately Jason and Stephen can't avoid the stricken Ferraris. Stephen is left stranded in the middle of the track, but thanks to some extra driving by the two Kevins, a major pile-up is avoided. Racing incident. Exactly. Let's see. So Kevin and Neil are engaged in a tremendous battle over the last few laps. Kevin was trying everything, but Neil held him off until the last lap of Curva Grande. Neil was pushing his car to the limit, and his Ferrari responded by understeering through Curva Grande. It had been doing that the whole bloody race, forcing him wide on the exit and onto the grass, just missing the Armco. It would have been maybe just me if I'd hit the Armco. So Kevin sees the opportunity, chance to get by on the inside, and almost made it before he was clipped by Neil as he tries to correct the inevitable slide. Both cars were sent into a spin, but fortunately covered without the need for a shift R. So, yeah, I agree with that. And I think the moderator got that bang on. Absolutely bang on. I did just notice that I didn't have the titles up for that one. Alright, let's change the. So what are we, round 5? We're heading to Watkins Glen. Okay. Not bad. I mean, there's been these races there's been a lull in there, but then they've picked up near the end and have become like epic battles. So it's making me feel good about myself that near the latter half of these seasons I'm showing a little bit of racecraft, you know. So right now, what do I normally say for Watkins Glen? I normally go well here. So we know Watkins Glen is very, very difficult to pass on. There's only 2 real passing places, but you have to get a very good run on your opponent. Ooh, back in. This is probably his 5th or 6th place, I think. Maybe more. And it's always very difficult because you start on a slope as well. Right, let's see who's ahead. It's a Lotus Fest. Yuck. So there's possibly 2 people here. There's possibly someone on pole here, and possibly second place. So we've got Neil Stratton in the Lotus, you cheater. We've got Ken Murray in a Lotus, you cheater. We've got Rick Bryan in a Brabham. Compared to the other season, they seem to side with the other guy. Yeah, maybe. We then got Kevin Clark, the person I had come together with in that last race in a Ferrari. We then got me in a Ferrari just behind. So if I can get to turn 1, I might be able to go around the outside of Kevin. Might be able to. Then we've got RMJ in the Brabham. And then we've got Ian Pollock in the BRM. And that's all we have on screen. So let's see whether we can get around the outside of Kevin in turn 1. I don't think we will be able to. Let's see what kind of start we get. Brabham didn't move. So that screwed my start. There's lagging cars everywhere. So because the Brabham didn't move, I couldn't bloody go anywhere. Oh, it's 3 wide nearly. Oh, steady. No. I think that was avoiding action by... Was there a lag touch there? I was all... Oh, look how close I got. I could not... See, I should be over a bit. He's off the racing line. Who is this? This is Rick Bryant. So I'm guessing he's wanting to get out from behind here. But he slows so much more than I thought. And I just could not slow it down. So... Are we going to get caught on the hay bale? No, we're going to miss it, thankfully. So we did start 8th. That's knocked us down to near the back of the field now, so... Rest of the race is going to be fireworks, maybe. Alright. Who are we chasing? We're chasing Clive Loynes again. Oh, dearie me. I hate it when I'm chasing Clive Loynes. Good run out of the last turn, though. Good run out of the S's. Have I got an overlap? Ooh, I did get it slowed down this time. Right, dropped down to 11th place. Now I think I'm back up to 10th. So this is going to be a fight back and a half. I've really got to overdrive this thing to even get in the top 5. Ralph Mafe is the next target. I don't think he's going to be the next target. I think possibly because everyone's so close in lap time here, it's going to be so difficult to get a run. So there's 45 laps of Watkins Glen. Now the problem comes with Watkins Glen with the pit stops, because if you're very unlucky, oh, it looks like Ferrari has had a bit of an off there. If you don't time it right with the traffic, you can't come straight out onto track. You have to wait. So pit stops are risky here. Very risky. So up to 10th place. Fastest lap of the race is by Kev Williams, 105.7. I've done a 106.7. So again, it does take me a little while to get warmed up. So we've got to do a lot of passing in this race. He's really struggling with the first couple of turns here. He's gone defensive. Give me some room. Means he's vulnerable coming out of the loop. The back turn. I don't know if it's called the loop. But you can't really pass on this back straight. I think I wanted to go around the outside, but he was a little bit blocked. Not as confident on the brakes though. This could be just a matter of time here. So 106. Alright, so we slow out of this corner here. But this is always the really hard to try and pass. Because you daren't brake too late. But we did it. That's 9th. So that, I think that was Ralph, wasn't it? That was Ralph, yeah. Are they going to have another go? Park it in the middle of the track. We've then got Ian Pollock, who's the BRM, which is the next victim. So how close? You can see them. So Ian Pollock is in the 106s. So unless I'm pushing it into the 105s, it's going to be very difficult to pass. Ninth place, 6th lap. I mean, this could be action all the way through. It could be a complete difference to Monza. So we got to get in the low 106s, maybe even the 105s to even catch this BRM. And that BRM has got such an advantage over us in the pit stop. So if it's 45 laps, we're possibly going to be pitting at lap 15 and lap 30 if we're going with the kind of strategy that we have been going with. But we have pulled away from Ralph behind. I suppose thankfully the two cars ahead are possibly holding each other up. So what do you reckon the moderator's going to say about that first lap? Because I didn't technically take someone off. I think that he possibly ran out wide, maybe being scared that I was going to hit them. when they saw someone locking up in their mirrors and then ended up running off in sympathy. Don't know. But it did seem like he seemed to break so soon. Caught me out a bit, I think. And I was doing my best to slow down with my tyres all locked. But I should really have been further over so that I had less of an overlap. You know, put my car in a bit of space, give myself a bit of leeway. But that's hindsight talking. Right, just did my first 105 of the race, 105.9. Right, the BRM has passed that car ahead. I mean, I wonder whether, you know, I still don't know a lot about setups, really. But I know the theory behind them. So I wonder whether I would be able to do any tinkering with setups to make a difference to my driving. I didn't do any when I raced GPL. I just grabbed a setup off the rack, you know, and said, well, I can drive this one. Oh, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No! No! It's my worst nightmare. It's what I've always not wanted. Damn it. Damn it. That's always something I'd looked at these races and thought, it's going to happen one time. So we've got to catch Rick Bryant and Clive Loynes all over again. So we're back to about 12th place, I think, now. Damn it. The hill that I was climbing up at the start of this race has just got a little bit steeper. I mean, it's pretty much vertical now. I guess this corner was a bit of a bogey corner. Where'd that Ferrari come from? Ralph was in an accident as well. He's come back to meet me. Round 2. We're going to go at it again. So on that lap, I lost 14 seconds. So am I able to catch and pass Ralph again? I still don't think he's called Ralph. I think it's Rafe. I'm not too sure. So if you were parents and you had a surname called Mafe, would you call your child Rafe? I don't think so. Seems to be struggling though, so I can only take advantage. We just seem to be able to get the nose in a bit better. I mean, it's a complete difference from Monza, where I was understeering all over the place. But here, it just... Oh, we've got a yellow flag. It seems Clive Loynes has spun. What a shame. So we're up to 11th now. Oh, if we get a top 10 out of this, it would be a bloody miracle. But I think some people were still of the impression that giving your real name over the internet was a no-no, you know? I mean, identity theft and stuff is obviously still a thing. But I don't really see that giving away your real name is too bad. Right, is he gone defensive or not? He has gone defensive. Are we going to try around the outside? No, we didn't feel confident enough to do that. That would have been very difficult. But he is slow out of that turn. Where is he going to park his car? The middle? Where do we want to go? We want to try go around the inside. Didn't have enough room. Didn't have enough momentum. He stays in the middle of the track. Can't pass. He's going to go defensive again. No, he's going to, thankfully, pit. So I should be overhaul Ralph. He was slowing me down a second a lap. So thankfully he gets out of the way. So we should pass at least Ralph in the pit stops. And I mean, it continued all throughout the league races we've seen that there's some people that just do not want to give you a first name and a last name. So you were racing against people that would just put their nicknames on things, and it kind of spoilt the standings. It made it look so amateurish. And I mean, we still have it with Le Mans Ultimate, where the dev team have put out the competition rules and saying, well, you have to use your first name and last name, and people just like, no, I'm going to use this stupid pseudonym, or I'm going to try and promote my Twitch channel in my name, you know. But don't know. I mean, I don't like to use my real name if I don't need to, because it's kind of weird when someone refers to me with my real name. I've gone by the name Woody for so long that I'm like, that's what my friends know me as, you know. Maybe I kind of feel that someone's telling me off when they call me by my real name, because that's what my mum might say, or mum might have said, you know. Although, saying that, my mum and dad don't really call me by my first name either, so. So we haven't pitted yet, and it's lap 16. Fastest lap of the race is a 104.7. We are in P9. So who are we chasing at this point in time? It's the Brabham of Rick Bryant, who's quite a few seconds ahead. I still want to look through some of my my game discs. I've got to index them first because it's easier to index them and then search the database for replay files and such. So I was trying to, when I was looking at the NASCAR replays, what have you, I've now, whoa, steady on. I've looked on some of the discs that I know have my game backups on, but I can't seem to find any of my paint jobs and things. It'd be good to see if I can get them to work. Into the pits we come. Whoa! Still revving the engine. Why? You're just wasting fuel. Right. How good are we going to be on pit exit? We get a clear track. We get a clear track. Awesome. 12th place. M. Chapman. And Ralph is just coming up turn 1 and 2. So we beat Ralph through the pit stops. So lap 18 of 45. We're fighting to basically get into the top 10. Oh, I've noticed something. I haven't taken a Shift R stop and go. I'm going to get penalised. It's just going from bad to worse. Sorry. I haven't taken a stop and go. There's my stop and go. Oh, I had to brake. There's Kevin Clark. Blue flag now. That's 4th place behind me. Do I let them go? I do let them go. Don't slow me down. I wonder if I wonder if I took it too late. I might get penalised for that. It looked like I'd completely forgotten to take it. Oh no, I am completely screwing this up. At this point, are we last? Right, am I doing another Shift R because of the accident in pit lane? No, this is a pit stop. I'm getting it all out of the way. I think my reasoning may be that the more this race goes on, I have to wait a bit exit again. The more this race goes on, the more spread out the field is going to get. Because I'm having an absolute bloody mare. I want the field to be as close together as possible. maybe that's the reasoning, I don't know. All pit stops done. It now gives me so much more time to catch and pass people, but it's been an absolute disaster. It says I'm in 16th place. This is probably the worst race that I've had in quite some time. I mean, I wonder what that Brabham saw, because I mean, I was completely across from the pit lane, yet they came into the pit lane and still collided with me. You see a car completely across the pit lane, you're not going to kind of... they're not going to suddenly vanish out of the way. So maybe the compliments from earlier in the season, the moderator's suddenly going to look at this race and go, what the hell are you doing? But, at least I'm going to have some passing to do, I guess. Right, who are we chasing? Is this 15th place? This is RMJ. He's in 8th. We are so far behind. We are so far behind. We'll have to see whether cooler heads prevail. And if I come up to the back of this lapped car, will he let me through? He has no obligation to do so. Lap 22 of 45. Nearly at half distance. So it's always a bit of a challenge because you have to do most of your braking before the crest. Because the car will go light if you try and brake on the crest, and the tyres will just lock. I mean, I think you can do a little bit of braking after you've come over the crest. So you have to do a bit before and then a bit after. Right. Are we going to use our racing brains? Are we going to use our racing brains? Cooper, a Brabham, and then me. See how much of a tighter line I can hold than them. Oh no! Got it well out of shape. The car's a bit pointy. The car is a bit pointy. I seem to be overcorrecting a lot. Alright, Brabham has got past the Cooper. Is this for position? This is Paul McCluskey. This is for position. Because even if this Cooper doesn't have to pit again, I am passing this definite for position because I've done all my pit stops. So if I've had a mare, then Paul McCluskey must have had an absolute nightmare. Maybe this track just doesn't suit him. So I did lose about a second behind that Cooper that lap. So it's Road America tonight, isn't it? So the Indy cars that we're going to be... Well, I'm not going to be broadcasting any, but I'm going to be watching whilst I have dinner. It's 60 minutes at Road America, I think. It should be quite interesting. I think there's probably still 20 cars entered or so. Don't seem to be getting the flow. I'm missing apexes all over the place. You really need to get this circuit bang on if you want a fast lap time. Just need the right amount of slip coming up the hill. Have the rear end kind of sticking out a little bit on each change of direction. It's very easy to, panic once you've locked up the tyres a little bit. You're like, don't focus on the outside of the circuit because you will draw yourself there. So you've got to keep calm. Didn't quite get the nose in there, like that. Dipped into the 105s again that lap. So I think you've got to kind of sacrifice turn 1 for turn 2 and 3. Because if you go wide turn 1, then you've kind of messed your line up for turn 2 and 3. Well, turns... Well, I suppose it will be turn 2 and 3, yeah. Lap 27 of 45. Nearly at 2/3 distance. So you need to not go too fast so you don't come off the racing line out of turn 1. That gives you the opportunity to then do 2 and 3 properly. Right, we're up to P14 now. I still reckon I'm probably going to get slapped with a penalty because of not taking my stop and go at the right time. I mean, the racing line is very uniform coming out that hill. Well, at least the dark line anyway. I don't know if sticking to it religiously is going to give you a better lap time or not. I seem to kind of wander around it. That's another 105. I mean, I think we're probably getting a little bit of a distant tow from this Brabham, which is probably helping. It's definitely not slowing us down. That's too wide in turn 1. Right, we're now at 2/3 distance. Ooh, so close to the Armco there. I think I scared myself off the line. So it's like Monza, where this latter half of the race is just lapping. There's not really an awful lot to do, because that car ahead of me is a lap ahead of me. Oh, off he goes. I saw some big black lines there, but it wasn't the Brabham ahead then. It looked like that was going off the track. So maybe someone's had a little bit of a whoopsie. And they've got 2 Brabhams. So one is RMJ in 7th place, the other is Clive Loynes in 13th, so... Let me out the Brabham! Let me at it! Past a Ferrari in the pits. Who is that? That's Kevin Clark in 7th. Just can't quite get close enough to these Brabhams at all. I'm doing my... Well, I'm half a second away from my fastest lap on that lap, but... I am basically getting held up from taking an extra position there. Did he just let the lap car through and let me through at the same time by accident? I think he did. We're now up to 12th. Right, now it looks like these two. That's Kev Williams that has pitted in the Lotus. In 4th, he's come out in front of that Brabham for position. Lap 34.45. So I was able to take advantage of that. How about? A bit of luck for a change. But race has been an absolute bloody nightmare. But people that take the Lotus, honestly. Bunch of cheaters. Drive a proper car. And the next, I don't know where 11th place is for me, so Ralph is in 11th place, quite far up the road. So after all my accidents, Ralph has still come out in front of me. But I've done my 2 pit stops and I've done a stop and go, and I've had a shift R. So not the greatest. Still reckon they should have banned if you had finished in the top 3 of any division, you should have been banned from using the Lotus. I think they would have had to do a little bit of managing for it, but if you have a BOP that's dependent on championship positions, maybe that would be better. Not too sure. I mean, having to stick with one car for the entire season as well. A lot of people do. But get out the way. I want to get through. You're now holding me up. Lap 37.45. Because the Brabham is not catching Kev Williams for position ahead. So I mean, I'm going to get blue flags in a minute because Kev Clark is right behind me. So but I'm all over the rear end of this Brabham. Hopefully I've put enough of fuel in this time. I mean, I've had a shift R, so I should be fine. And imagine from the times that I had been low on fuel, I would have stuck a couple of extra litres in. Now, I've got to let Kevin pass somewhere. Oh! That's Ralph! I believe that is Ralph. It is! So we've made a place. Right, I've now got to let Kevin through. I've finally got to run on that Brabham. Get out the way. Get out the way! Oh, come on now. Jesus. I hope Kevin Clark passes you. Up to 10th place. Somehow. I mean, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place, really, because he's trying to stay ahead of Kevin Clark. I'm faster than both of them. I just want to get on with it, I'm guessing. And I just think that once I'd got ahead, I would have pulled away. But they've got no obligation to let me through because I'm a lap down. And I mean, I can't think of what I saw on my pit board. I'd obviously been able to see it now that Ralph had an off. But the next person for position for me is up in turns 1 and 2. So, several seconds away. No, no. But I wouldn't know what Steve Smith is driving. I would just see on my pit board that maybe Steve Smith is like 15 seconds away or so. But I mean, it looked like I could go faster, but the lap times weren't showing that I was really being slowed down too much. It's just the fact that the Brabham wouldn't really let me take the fastest lines around the circuit. But it's up to the lead car, really, whether they let you by. But you gotta think with your head. If someone has swummed up to the back of you, they're a lap down, but they have caught you and are all over your rear end, you might as well let them go. And I mean, they would be able to see on their pit board that I am not for position. But, don't know. Bit of a grey area, really. And I mean, the body language on my car now just suggests, right, that's it. I don't think I can catch anyone. I'm now in the mid 106s. Right, starting lap 43 or 45. I mean, it's just like I now just want to kind of get to the end. But there has been a couple of drivers that have been a thorn in my side throughout these seasons. RMJ has been one of them. I think was it one of the races where I was stuck behind them in a BRM for lap after lap. And I was definitely 2 seconds a lap fast. It could have been that Mossport race where I was 2 seconds a lap fast and I could not get by. And it basically ruined the race. Maybe I didn't think of the pit stop strategy. Maybe I'd already pitted. I can't remember. But right, penultimate lap, lap 44 of 45. And I was able to do a 105.8 then. So maybe I'm not slowing down. But a P10? I think I've gone backwards. I think I started P8. So not the greatest Watkins Glen race. And probably the last one I ever did. So, not really going out with a bang. And I think the next race is Mexico City. I can't remember. Well, it wasn't a penultimate lap for me because I was a lap down, so let's give Kevin a bump. Well, there you go. Bit of a disastrous race, really. Let's see how much I get slapped by the moderator for that. It is Mexico next round. Because I think I might have taken my stop and go too late. And taking your stop and go too late, I think, adds 15 seconds to your lap time, something like that. So, we'll see how much I get slapped for that. But we've got one more race to go in this session. Okay, right. Let's have a look at the results. Okie doke. So you do get a pit stop penalty added 15 seconds. So Ian Bias Pollock again wins in a BRM. Just had to start 9th and he ends up first by 15 seconds. Yikes. No penalty points. So I did end up being in 10th place, so we'll see. And it does say that RMJ is Chinese as well. A clean and steady drive from Ian Pollock saw him overhaul the faster cars to claim top spot in his BRM. Oh, I didn't get mentioned in the moderator's report. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, it usually gets mentioned if it's going to be like a racing incident or something, but very odd. Very odd indeed. Right. Next one is Mexico City. Well, I think it's defined as Mexico, but... So, last one. We should finish just before the IndyCars. If the Grand Prix Legends thing was playing ball, but it's not at the moment. There we go. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Right. So, Mexico. It is Mexico City, but hey ho. The curse of the white polos. Let's see how Mexico goes. It's sometimes been a good hunting ground, sometimes not. But we'll see how far back we are. I don't think we really qualify that well. Yeah, we're quite far back off the Ferraris in there. The Polo Mints. Gotta love them. No, you haven't. So it looks like we're probably 9th. There's a few Brabhams up front. Well, that's probably as much as we're going to be able to view. So, RMJ in Brabham. So, beating us through the pit stops. Neil Stratton again in a Lotus. Oh, dear, Neil. Then we've got Clive Loynes in a Brabham again. Ralph Mafe. That guy that we had a good battle with at Watkins Glen is in the Ferrari. Then I'm in the Ferrari behind. And then we've got Kevin Clark, the old sparring partner from Monza. In a Ferrari, then Rick Bryant in a Brabham just behind me. So, this should be interesting. Got to try and overhaul those Brabhams. That's going to be the 28 laps we've got to do today. Good start. Not a lot of wheel spin. We're staying all the way to the right. We passed a BRM on the left. That Brabham is staying pinned to that inside line, meaning that I'm pinned there too. There's a Lotus that's rail riding and just gets into the... I don't know. Was that Lotus rail riding or not? He was. Bit naughty. So he didn't slow enough, and he's basically... I mean, he was slowing down, but right, so setting off in 8th place. Let's see how we do. We'll get past this damn Brabham again. Seem to be cursed with these Brabhams. I think it looked like I didn't want to venture out into the middle of the track or the outside of the track. I wanted to stick to the inside in turn 1. So I could only go as fast as the Brabham in front of me. So we got James Greenwood in that BRM again behind me. So he's definitely going to be possibly winning this one. First lap is a 2-minute lap. I just need to settle in. We're up to 6th place now. But we're definitely going to lose a place to that BRM behind through the pit stop phase. But we're going to gain a place from that Lotus in front. So top 5 could be on the cards here. But I did see a lot of Brabhams ahead, which means I'm going to end up having to try do a lot of passing if I want to get back to where I was. Ooh, so close to his rear end. How did Netcode not do anything then? I'm definitely being held up. But he seems to pull out a little in this section of the course. I don't look like I'm that confident. A couple of weird lines going through these S's. I'm straight lining them, but a lot of people weren't. So he seems to gain a bit of time through the twisty section, but the first sector I'm all over him, so... So we're showing our nose a little. And you can also see the guys behind. Avoid the polos. Looks like I don't... Is that first gear? Possibly. So I'm now down to the 152s. Fastest lap of the race is Martin Gilmore, which is at 149. Oh, there goes the Brabham. Oh, he held it. He's going to be weak onto the straight. Gaining very, very little. We're not really being pressured from behind, so... Well, you opened the door and I just went through it. I don't know why I didn't go for it. That was a perfect opportunity. You'd done all the hard work. You'd made them make a mistake. Why you didn't outbrake them into the hairpin and do a block pass, because they can't really get around the outside of you. Kicking myself for that. Maybe I didn't feel as comfortable on the brakes into the hairpin, I don't know. But that was a perfect opportunity to go past. And now it's led that Ferrari to catch back up. Looks like that might be a car pitting. It is. Gonna pin him to the inside? No, you're not. That would have been evil. Can't see him. We're clear. Up to 5th place. Actually, up to... up to 4th place, because I think it was a Lotus that was pitting just then. So, who have we got behind us? It is S. Drake. We haven't seen S. Drake for a little while. So in all of that, we were able to get past and let that Ferrari pass as well. But we lost 2 seconds a lap to that Brabham. Because it just did seem like he was very comfortable. So lap 5 of 28. So who are we chasing now? We are chasing Ralph in a Ferrari, Neil Stratton in a Lotus, and Martin Gilmore in a Ferrari. So we're going to have to do some to beat that Ferrari ahead. But at least we're going to get behind that Lotus through the pit stops. I reckon we might have a top 5 when this shakes out. Might. But no doubt those BRMs are just going to waltz up and take the lead and never look back. The fact that they had sometimes they had no pit stop at all. Sometimes just took the piss. Just took the piss. So if you look at the racing line for that corner, the dark line is not where anyone is going. It just doesn't seem to relate to what the drivers are driving on. Whether that was a technical restriction and where they could put the dark line or not, I don't know. But it looked like it does need some adjustment. Just did my fastest lap of the race, a 1:49.9. That's about a second and a half slower than the fastest lap, but it's still quick. How they ever raced on this circuit in real life, I don't know. It's nuts. See, you got a kind of... I know I keep bringing this up every time we're watching a Mexico race. The advert for Pepsi, the big billboard looks like the modern logo, right? Now I looked just then when we were coming through turn 1, it looked like it had a Pepsi Cola advert right next to it, and it was definitely not the logo that was on the billboard. It was a more imperial one, so it does stick out like a sore thumb, really. Because I believe Pepsi Cola back then looked a lot like what the Dr. Pepper logo looked like, with the kind of a cursive lettering. And it wasn't called Pepsi either, I don't think. I think this was called Pepsi Cola back then. So we're having quite a strong drive so far. No particular drama or accident or... So 28. If we're going to split this in 3... probably lap 9, lap 18, well lap 8 at the moment, so you see that? If you see, so you got a Pepsi logo here, that's what it's supposed to be. So why there's a billboard that says Pepsi and then says the correct logo right next to it? I wasn't seeing things. I mean, God knows what the logos would have been back then. I imagine some photos exist. Some of it may have had to be in guesswork, perhaps. But you just kind of wonder, right, that if Grand Prix Legends hadn't have been released, what would we be faced with in terms of sim racing? Because I think Grand Prix Legends it was a commercial flop, but it did inspire quite a lot of people. Because it was completely different from anything else that had been released. You know, up until that point, we had Formula 1 sim after Formula 1 sim. We'd had IndyCar, we'd had NASCAR, and then suddenly this sim which did something completely out of the box. So we're still in 4th place. We are still chasing Ralph. So he's just a corner ahead of me. So you can hear him just then. We probably see him when we're coming down here. There he is. And then we see the one that's behind us as well. I'm guessing it's a pity that I mean, I don't think that you can see any kind of telemetry from a replay in terms of viewing it in real time. I know that obviously there was, late on, you had a little utility that would show you lap time and last lap time and what have you. But I don't think you can show that on a replay. I haven't really looked in depth about the Grand Prix utilities that are out there. Lap 10, still not deciding to pit. The lap time seems to be a bit all over the place, really. I can do a 149, but then I'm back in the low 150s, so I can't quite put it all together. I'm not like a robot like some people. I think it might have been very cool to, you know, if the... I don't know how... Well, I suppose in some ways the R-Factor 2 interface has kind of ceased to become moddable, really. Because it breaks after every update, if you had modded it. It may have been cool to have like a... And I suppose this was probably only possible in R-Factor 1, to lay out all of the menus and things like Grand Prix Legends, and just have a, when you load up the GPL 67 mod, it would have the... Oh, we're coming into the pits. Right, so that's a Ferrari past me. That's a Brabham. That's a BRM. That's a Cooper. That's a Ferrari. That's a BRM. Jesus. We have lost so many places. I think we're gonna... Whoa! Did I just go through those banners just now? So we've come out of the pits in 10th place from 4th. But we did lose quite a few places that were quite close together. So we've got Steve Smith in the BRM behind me. So unless we can pull away from him. So I lost about 13 seconds in the pit stop. 23 seconds, sorry. I can do maths. That BRM is doing 150s. And I'm doing consistent 150s. So the Ferrari is taking a 41 second pit stop or 42 second pit stop. And it's just not able to make it up again. I know I'm salty. But, right, so who are we chasing? We are chasing this big gaggle of cars here. This is James Greenwood. He's all over Paul McCluskey. And I can't even see them from where I am now. I suppose at least this time around, because season 11 in Mexico was a bit of a disaster, getting collected by that other driver twice, rear-ended and then completely sideswiped. So at least this Mexico Grand Prix is a little cleaner. So even on my outlap I did a 152. I mean, when this shakes out, what am I going to be left with? 7th place? I'm just surprised that the moderator didn't pick up anything for Watkins Glen. Very odd. You'd maybe feel that the Brabham that I probably made go off at turn 1 would feel a little bit aggrieved, you know? But doing out there? I mean, you've raced in the modern day version of UKGPL. Do they still use the same bop? Is it still pit stops? Is it still, or have they decided to use an alternate method? So someone must have pitted ahead because we're now up to 9th place. So we've got Neil Stratton and Ralph Mafe. I'm about a straight behind them. I mean, the Lotus is able to do a 1:47.9 the fastest lap, and I'm only able to get down to the very... Well, I did a low 1:49, but that's very rare. It was a few years back now. I don't think I had to make a pit stop. I need to check some results. I mean, I'd be very surprised if they stuck with it as being like a global car bop rather than a driver bop. Like a Cooper was having a bit of a cross-country moment then. So that's Ken Murray in the Cooper. That's the guy that I had collisions with last season. He's just getting completely out of the way. Even though he seemed to have crashed out of 5th place or something. So possibly back up to 8th now. I don't think I'm going to get back up to 4th where I was. Oh, we're pitting again. So that Cooper's already gone. It only needs to do a stop and go. I bet that Brabham's going to leave before me too. Oh! No, it left exactly the same time. So that's pit stops done. And that's Clive Loyne's pass. So I don't need to deal with sitting behind a Brabham all this time. So that was 4 position. I now only dropped to 10th, so any place now is a bonus. So that Cooper that I just passed before the pit stop, I've got to go past him again. Lap 15 of 28, so we've done our pit stops quite quickly. Just before half distance. Got them both out of the way. It gives us the rest of the race to just do some catching. Yeah, I suspect that several drivers still need a pit, but kind of gives you a bigger picture of the race, doesn't it? That got the pit stops out of the way, so you know that people you pass now are now definitely for position. That's one of the advantages. You're not kind of left guessing that who has pitted, who hasn't. I mean, you definitely wouldn't know any of that when you were racing. Because, I mean, I think back then, we would possibly have TeamSpeak and things like that. I don't think I would have raced with TeamSpeak, particularly UKGPL anyway. I know in the end, in some of the R Factor leagues I did. Because I always found it very distracting. And I mean, streaming didn't really become a big thing until I... when did I start streaming? 2000 and... Just trying to think now. Possibly around 2012-ish? Something like that. Where it was just... I mean, I started streaming PlayStation games where I had a webcam pointing towards my TV monitor. It was very low budget. And then I was able to figure out how to use OBS and XSplit and whatever. And then it was very low res R Factor streams. I think my production value may have changed since then. Oh, we're up to 9th now. Up 16 of 28, so we've got 12 laps to go. So literally just under 20 minutes to go. Timed this quite right with being able to switch on the IndyCar stream. It's a pity they don't stream on Twitch really, because I would have raided them. But it's the Simracing Online YouTube channel. They normally start just before quali. And quali starts at 8 o'clock. And I've still got to have something to eat. I won't be racing though. So I could sit back and watch everyone else crash at turn 1. Yes, Ben, you are. You are racing in it. Maybe I can raid Ben. Maybe Ben will be streaming his IndyCar stuff. Because Mid-Ohio was quite fun. But Road America should be good. Although you have jinxed it, Ben. You have said, I know I'm going to be good here. So. Right, I'm up to 8th place now. Lap 17 of 28. So we've got to catch this Cooper that's already in the last turn. Whoa! Just missed. So S Drake, they were just behind us through the pit stops. So are we going to pass S Drake? I think we are. Yep, because they're still sitting there. 7th place. Well, I said I'd go well there in iRacing, but the R Factor 2 IR18 doesn't seem to handle like the iRacing one. Unless the baseline setup is naff. Possibly. I mean, I don't know whether anyone's given any setup for free. Also helps when you don't knock off your rear wing. I think Road America is... a lot of it is straights, so... I'm predicting there might be an accident going into that fast right-hander. First lap. Near the end of the lap, coming onto the back straight. Because again, I think there are a lot of people are fast in that car, but a lot of them can't judge the speed very well. Oh, you sped in the pits 3 times as well, yeah. Have you managed to figure out what your pit speed limit or where it is? That's always a good start. And also remembering not to screw up your pit strategy. I mean, generally, I would maybe pit for. I would fill up the tank. If I could do the whole distance, I would fill up the whole tank and just change tyres at every stop, just to cut the pit stop time. Just remember that the pit limiter is not a slowdown button, so you have to be under the pit speed and then you press it. It doesn't slow you down. A lot of people forget that. I'm finding a lot of messages on the forum saying, "How dare I get this penalty? Oh, I've got to slow down before I put the pit limiter on. It's not a brake." And I'm surprised that some people forget that. I mean, it does kind of limit the revs a little in the gear that you're in, but it doesn't slow you down enough to when you're braking towards the line. So right, so this is 4 position for this Cooper. This is going to be revenge from last season because the driver ahead, I know I keep mentioning it, but they rear-ended me and sideswiped me. Can't remember whether they got penalised enough to put them behind me or not. Because I think I ended up blowing my engine because of it. So I'm now into the 149s-ish, although I did a 151 now, which wasn't too good. Yeah, I think I've mentioned it once or twice. I'm not salty at all. 7th place, lap 20 of 28. So we'll be lucky to get a top 5. Even though we were up to P4 before the pit stops. Sometimes it's easier just to have a straight fight, really. I would hope that I'm faster than a Cooper. And there's plenty of straights on this circuit to draft past it, so I'll get close enough. It's just the sector 2 with all these twisty bits on. It's just not very good. Can't keep the momentum. But I'm determined this year to at least create something. I think I gave myself a New Year's resolution last year of saying that I was going to learn a bit of Blender. But I kind of fell off the horse a little. I would hope to learn a little bit of texture work. And I want to be able to remaster a track. I don't think I have the skills to make it from scratch, but I can possibly remaster one. Even if it's just a case of not creating new objects for it, just retexturing it so it looks better. Seven laps to catch this and pass this Cooper. That's another Ferrari ahead. Is that Ralph again? It is Ralph. I mean, we've caught up to Ralph, but we haven't... I don't think we're anywhere near passing them. Now, if you think back then, obviously the game Grand Prix Legends is old, so it wouldn't have been able to do this thing. But if you think back then, these races, and this is something that I guess games even now don't do enough of, is that motor racing is oily, dirty, dusty. I mean, there's a kind of a, I wouldn't call it an uncanny valley effect, but it's more like a, you know something looks a little wrong when these cars just look pristine, you know? They should at least be a little bit dirty. Right, we are constantly in the 149s now the fuel is burnt off. So, interesting. So now, lap 22. We're going to be able to find a way past both of these guys. This could be a top 5. Because it does look like Ralph is struggling a bit. And I can hear the sound of a BRM. BRM that's probably passed us all through the pit stops. I'm going the fastest that I've ever been throughout the entire race. See, the Cooper just seems to get away in the twisties, which means I can't get a run. Going onto the main straight. Because you're going to need to be really close to even get the draft. Oh, steady on. Lap 23 of 28. The laps are running out. So it's possibly going to need to be a mistake. Mistake like that, but I don't think that's enough. The Ferrari has caught the BRM as well. Frustrating that the only place you need to be fast is the only place that I'm not. So it looks like that BRM is being very aggressive, having to defend their position up there. Well, the Ferrari has gone. Oh, and what did we do? We followed him. That's target fixation, that is. So what actually happened? Did he just go wide? It seemed strange that he took his rear wheel off. It was just a clatter into the barriers. He got his braking completely wrong. And that took off his rear wheel. That wasn't really a hard hit there. But that looks like that's 6th position. No. Too far away from the Cooper now. Well, it's past the BRM. Are we going to get back to our 4th position? I don't think we're going to pass this BRM. Steve Smith, he's doing 151s. 2 seconds a lap faster, but I don't think that's enough. It's a shame for Ralph, though. But thanks for the position. But I'm quite surprised I'm back up to the top 5. I didn't get the satisfaction of passing that Cooper. Whoa! Steady on. Steady on. He's leaving a lot of black lines. Well, I got 3 laps to catch and pass. I did a 1:53 that lap. Not good. I suppose I was kind of trying to avoid a big accident with a Ferrari that had spun, but you almost have to kind of ignore that someone else has had an accident and just kind of concentrate on what you have been doing for lap after lap before that. It's very difficult. It says I'm in 4th, if I'm reading that right. I've just got back up to 4th place. This is a hell of a drive. I wonder whether we're just going to be too short for how many laps left and how I'm going to pass this BRM. If I can get on the podium, that is a drive and a half. I'm at least faster than... Well, I'm not faster than I was, but the BRM is possibly a bit slower in the twisty section than that Cooper was. Because I'm getting a better run through the final corner. That's why he has to go defensive. 26 of 28. Oh no! Come on! That's not fair. You can piss off, Brabham. I mean, would I get blamed for that, do you think? He spun in front of me. I tried to avoid... Well... Let's look at it again. So... Let's look at the chase cam. So he spun in front of me, right? Target fixation is another thing here. So I'm... Do you go round the outside? That, you know, you assume that the BRM's going to go this way because it's spun and the momentum's taking it that way, so you have to kind of cut in. But target fixation is a thing, and it's leading me right to him. And I thought I'd got away with it here. But then a little bit of a lag touch sends me around. And I mean... what could I have done? I don't know how that would have looked on the server replay. But it kind of looks like I was definitely like... I've already kind of got into an accident 2 laps before the end. This Brabham is not having this podium. So I was adamant, I think, that I wasn't going to let this go. But, don't know. I don't know whether I'm going to get a bit of a slap on the wrist there, but I don't think I could have done anything. Because I was just being ping-ponged between... it's not like I really had control of my car. But thankfully got one over on that Clive Loynes fellow. Can stay behind me, thank you very much. But I think I would have passed him if he hadn't made that mistake. We still had 2 laps to go and I was all over his rear. So it was just a matter of time on the main straight, I think. He was definitely going down the right-hand side to not let me have that inside line. But that possibly was a mistake on his part. I mean, am I going to be able to keep this podium? This is the penultimate lap. I don't know if I should be upset if I do get penalised for it or not. I'm nervous. I'm thinking that this is the highest finish. Well, apart from that win, of course. It's the highest finish I've had this season, apart from the win. And I mean, I was 4th before all the pit stops, and to come back and finish 3rd, I think is stunning. Oh look, there's a Cooper. So Ken must have had an accident as well, because there's no way I should be this close to him. Oh! Is a second on the cards! Could this be a second place? Oh, Ken had to do another pit stop anyway. Last lap? He might have had us stop and go. I know that he pitted with me. But I don't know when he pitted the first time. Oh, please let me keep this second place. This is a stunning drive. This is a stunning drive. Unfortunately, I am running a bit long as well. Shouldn't you be qualifying, Ben? Qualifying's in about 3 minutes or 2 minutes. So I think, does that signify the leader has already passed the finish? Please let me keep this second place. Yes, baby. Yes, baby. Come on, Phil. Say that I kept this second place. Say that I kept it. Say that I kept this second place. Right. I'm going to be very quick. So, Mexico, Martin Gilmore. I do keep the second place. I do keep the second place. Yeah. But 39 seconds off the lead. 39 seconds off the lead. So looking at... Paul McCluskey got excluded. Oh, he used 2 cars in practice, which gets him excluded. The start to finish win for Martin Gilmore. Steady drives from Neil Wood and Clyde Lyons and they were them skill running podium places. So Steve Smith and Neil Wood, lap 26. Steve Smith has trouble with the steering wheel, which caused him to lose control in turn 1. Spin and come to rest in the middle of the track. Neil spots him and managed to slow down in time, but very slight contact is made as Steve tries to manoeuvre his car back onto the racing line. Just as both cars have sorted themselves, network delays catch up with them and GPL collision engine decides to catapult Steve off the track. Consequently, Steele has to make a shifter. Clearly it's a warp incident and Steve is entitled to a no shifter. I'm pleased about keeping that second place. I'm really pleased about keeping that second place.